1, 2, 3.
Doop doop
Okay. Welcome everybody to a new podcast we're kicking off here. It's a journey we're going to set ourselves out for. We're calling it Stranded in Mayberry, and I am Franklin. Of course, you probably know who I am, and then my buddy here is Ray McGuff.
Everybody knows who I am, Frank. Everybody.
Everybody, but yeah, we watched the first 2 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show.
Yes.
We're going to walk through them and talk about it. Walk about it, talk about it. So,
And this is the season 1, episode 1. That's where we started at. Just so you guys know, I mean, this is like the kickoff. Like television was in its infancy. There was no greater show than Andy Griffith. The time that
before we start with episode 1, I want to know what your opinion of the show was before watching it again. Like, did you like it when you were a kid, or did you watch it when you were a kid?
Yeah. When I was little, it was on my, we'd go to my grandparents' house. It was always on, or if my dad was home from work, there was episodes on. Or sometimes I would get up really early in the morning, and I think you had probably cable too, right? And it would be on TBS. There would be like the Andy Griffith Show, Gilligan's Island.
Right on, yeah. I remember that lineup.
Like the Brady Bunch, would be on there. Lost in Space.
Oh, yeah.
And so in the summertime, I would watch just 5 hours of 50s, 60s, and 70s television.
I did too, man. I grew up on it. It's weird because, I remember so many, I can talk to a person who was, that grew up in that time, and, know about the TV they watched, And,
exactly.
It's weird because sometimes, there's a guy I work with who I talk to about old television, and he forgets that I was born in 82. So it's he'll be talking about something and be like, "You don't remember that?" And I'm like, "No, I was born in 82." So
yeah, right.
But I grew up with the Andy Griffith Show, so I know some of the episodes. I'm looking forward to a couple, actually.
Me too, absolutely. And my dad said, I was telling him about this, he said it's a really good idea for a podcast, but he said to say hi from Floyd the Barber.
Yeah, we didn't see Floyd in the first episode. I don't know when he'll pop up. I'm looking forward to seeing when things happen.
Exactly.
I know that I liked. I'm looking forward to the episode with the goat and the dynamite. I'm looking forward to one. There was a Christmas special I remember watching all the time that I'm looking forward to also. So definitely got some milestones coming up.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the part where Barney starts the feud with I can't remember their names, but these straight up hillbilly.
Oh yeah. They're like a family, right?
It goes on. Yeah, it goes on for seasons. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we should keep track of how many times they shut down moonshine stills.
Okay.
I think that happens a lot. But let's get into this first episode. It's called season 1, episode 1, The New Housekeeper. This is the Netflix description here. It says, Opie's housekeeper is off to get married. Andy's Aunt Bee, who raised him, is coming to replace her, but Opie refuses to give her a chance. Now, the thing I noticed first about the show in general is have you ever experienced bad grammar with such a southern charm? Because that seems like what a lot of it is horrible grammar. But there's something...
Yeah, it's almost shocking. I mean, you're watching it and you're like, wow, I mean, I don't know if a TV show could exist in regular TV right now with that type of dialogue. I mean... Yeah. Just people would just be scratching their heads, going, "What the hell are people talking about?"
And one thing I want to keep track of also is in these first 2 episodes, a lot of the shit that it's a lot of Andy lying to Opie, about a lot of things. I mean, a lot of things, everything. It's like he for some reason can't communicate clearly with his own son, but.
I have a whole thing towards the end of the episode that I think addresses what Opie actually is.
Oh, okay.
And, we'll get to that. All right.
Okay. My first question pops up immediately just upon, hearing these people talk. Why doesn't Opie have an accent? He doesn't. His dad has like the thickest, Southern drawl you could have, and he has.
I want to believe it's because of his dead mother. I want to think that.
Oh yeah, what happened to her?
nobody says in the whole episode. Nobody addresses it as long as the show. I can remember.
I wonder if they do that at all.
I don't know. I don't think so. But I like to have a scenario, and I could be wrong. But I think that some fancy lady came in to Mayberry from like Connecticut, and her car broke down, and she was there for a few days and met Andy, and they fell in love. And that's Opie is the result of that is he's got this like way of speaking that's way smarter.
Oh, okay. A little bit weird, like a kind of a New York thing or something.
Yeah.
There's so many questions I have while I'm watching the show. I had to keep stopping it to write things down. Why did Aunt B raise Andy again? Because
they didn't say.
I'm wondering if any of these they just expect you to accept it, like from the beginning. But let's go ahead and open the episode up. It opens with the wedding of Rose, the housekeeper, to her new husband Wilbur. Why is Opie so attached to this housekeeper? I know she does almost evidently everything with him, including playing baseball and fishing, evidently. But why is he so attached to her? I mean, it seems like they were doing strange tasks that a housekeeper perhaps didn't need to be involved in. I don't know.
I'm with you, man. Like there's little weird nuances between because Opie interrupts their wedding, because they say they do the now over hold your peace, and nobody speaks, but Opie's like, well, fuck that, I've got something to say, I don't want this to happen. But they're little back and forth with like, he's like, you don't see me running off and marrying somebody. I was like, oh, you're like 4. What the fuck are you so upset about?
It's crazy, but basically, this is where he sends her off, and this is where he says that one of my favorite quotes from the episode. Let's see here. Hang on a second. Gotta get my paperwork in order.
See, I got one here.
This is one of my favorite quotes from the episode. He says that sending Wilbur on a honeymoon by himself would be like putting a pig in a sty and taking away all the mud.
And thrown away all the mud. I wrote that down too.
So
it made me laugh straight out loud. I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
Because then I thought about it, and I'm like, so Wilbur is the pig and she is the mud, and he's gonna slop around in the mud.
He's gonna root around in it.
It was kind of like it caught me off guard for this time period.
It was totally a sexual innuendo. Like, if Wilbur goes on this honeymoon alone, he's just gonna be rolling around in dry mud.
Like
getting chafed.
But the next scene that happens is Andy's washing his car, and then Opie comes up. Opie approaches him, and then it's followed up by Barney entering the scene this is the first time we see Barney, and he has an important message. What was the important message he had? I don't even know. No. What was the important? Aunt B can't come. Aunt B was coming earlier than. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. This is where we find out that Andy and Barney are cousins. Did you know that?
Blew my mind.
Is that the thing you said you thought you found out that you never knew?
Never knew that. Never heard that in my life.
Yeah. I don't think I knew that either, but I had watched this first episode not too long ago, so that's the first time it caught me. I was like, holy shit, they're cousins. And then you realize why Barney is always trying to be like a super cop, because he's trying to prove himself that he proved to the community that he's worth being. And he wants respect.
And it kind of made me like realize then why, after all the shit that Barney does over the years, that he keeps him around still. It's family,
Oh yeah. You think he would have fired him like right off the bat? I would have fired him by the second episode. When,
Yeah,
but
me too.
but we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Right.
The next scene that opens up is Opie's in the kitchen. He's washing a grapefruit with a scrub brush and burning toast. Then Andy comes in and joins him for breakfast. This is right after this. Aunt B arrives, and Opie is trying to convince Andy to tell her that like they don't need her. That's why he was making breakfast and all that shit. But
Yeah.
this is where I went, oh, that's like the saddest thing I've ever seen, because like Aunt B arrives and she says something that is like basically to the point of, if I can't care for children, my life is worthless. Like it was something. I didn't write the quote down, but it's so sad.
I remember saying it was like, yeah, she's like, if I can't do this, there's nothing I can do, and my life is over. Kind
Right.
of thing.
And basically, by the end of the episode, you find out that even Opie has no respect for her and doesn't believe that she can fucking make it in the world.
In the world, yeah.
Yeah.
How is she going to raise him?
The next scene that opens up is they're at dinner and Opie won't eat his chicken. Aunt B made it, of course, and he says that Rose used to make it better, and Andy sends him up to his room, and then that little asshole, stole some extra chicken pieces and threw it on his plate, went up to his room and ate it anyways, like a dickhead.
Yeah.
But he gets caught by his dad, and he gets caught eating the chicken in his room.
Now, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Because this is in the episode where I started going, this is textbook sociopath behavior. Opie is a fucking sociopath. He's a bold-faced liar. He starts, literally, just from this point on, just lying the rest of the episode. Just straight lies about everything.
Well, my question is, how fucking old is this kid? Like, he literally, something that his dad says later on, he just believes.
I think he's 6, right?
I don't know.
I thought they said something like 6 years had went by or something. With that lady who was there, I forget.
But this is the part where, my second favorite. I had 2 favorite quotes in this episode, and this is the part where my other quote was. I don't know if you had any other quotes from the episode, but
no. This is mostly my notes are about how Opie is a deranged sociopath.
He blames the food being in his room on him giving it to his bird. Which
Birds eat
sociopathic behavior would be feeding a bird chicken. Right. So,
and then lying about how it was demanding more.
But then
he's a hungry bird.
Andy goes along with it, and this is the quote I loved from it. This one made me laugh out loud. He says, "Dickie, if I was you, I wouldn't be doing any flying tonight because them biscuits can lay awful heavy." And I was like, God, that's like, just the way he said it was like, it was such a great pattern. And then, in general, I hate Southern accents. I just talked to Scott about, I have I'm just an aversion to the Southern accent. But for some reason, when Andy Griffith, it's just charming. Basically, Aunt B hears Opie for leaving her out of his prayers, which goes back to your point, sociopathic. I mean, really, just this is his relative, really.
I'm just sitting there like, you have known her for a day and you're just forsaking her.
Well, also, his dad explained to him that this is the woman that raised me. This is this is a very important person to me. But yeah,
he doesn't give a shit. He's all about himself. He's like, what about me?
Yeah,
I'm never gonna get Rosie's sweet, sweet chicken again.
So this makes Aunt B even sadder than she already was, because now the kid that she needs to take care of to fulfill her life doesn't care for her. But Andy has a plan.
Oh boy, does he?
He's gonna teach Aunt B to be more like Rose, which Opie says that Aunt B can't play baseball or fish, which they haven't even tried to do. And also acts like this Rose was so much younger and spry than Aunt B. She was old as fuck too. I actually looked them up. Rose was played by Mary Treen. She was born in 1907, and Aunt B was played by Frances Bavier, who was born in 1902. So there's 5 years difference. So they were the same age, but
so it wasn't like she was 20 years younger and into that shit.
Yeah. But so they take her out there and try to teach her how to play baseball and fish and all this shit. And Andy just keeps lying to Opie about how she's like a porpoise fisherman, and he's just really trying to get him to buy this stuff. I don't know why he wouldn't just be like, accept her for who she is, Yeah,
I love when they're fishing and Andy's lied to him about Aunt B being the best fisherman, and Opie's like, if she's such a great fisherman, how come she hasn't caught anything all day?
Well, she's got her bait out of the water, and he says,
yeah, that's right.
Well, she ain't even got her bait in the water. And
bait in the water, that's what it is, yeah.
He says she used to fish for porpoise, and I forget what else he said. And they used to just jump out of the water, meet you halfway is what he said. But when they get back to the house, she had let his bird out by accident. I mean, first of all, why is she fucking with his bird? Like that's his responsibility. It has to be. It's in his room. He's old enough to have if he's old enough to have a bird, he surely cleans it out and feeds it.
He's been running his mouth like an adult this whole time. You tell me he's not cleaning his own bird cage? Absolutely right.
So he gets mad at her, and then Aunt B decides to leave the next morning, and Opie
that was really sad, by the way. I got teared up a little bit.
Oh yeah. I'm sure that'll happen more often.
Her little speech by the truck.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. And then Opie stops her and says that she wouldn't be able to make it in the world because she can't even fish or play baseball or anything.
See, another sociopathic thing he says. It's all about him saving her. Yeah. Narcissistic asshole.
And you know what I really liked that they did at the end of the episode? They give you that sad moment there, right? And then they they wrap it, they put a bow on it at the end with the fucking finger plucking, sitting on the porch, and then Opie's bird returns, and what was the song they sing? Oh fuck!
It was oh man,
fishing hole, fishing hole or something like that.
Yeah, we'll go down to the fishing hole, honey.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah, but that's episode 1, man. So I enjoyed it. It was a great way to start this. I don't know how we'll feel when we're like deeper into these episodes, because I'm committed to do it until we're done with them, it will be a long time.
Yeah,
that's 8 seasons.
I'm in for a ride. I don't know about the entire trip.
Yeah, I figure if we make it to the end, we've accomplished something. But if not, we've still accomplished something. But regardless, we'll see how far we make it. We're stranded here, but if we should happen to find somebody driving through Mayberry.
That's what I wanted to really quickly touch base and let everybody know. Our backstory is the reason that we're seeing all these lovely events is that we were driving in our Ford pickup truck out west to get Orange Grove fucking jobs like in the old-timey days.
Old-timey Orange Grove jobs, baby.
And we got our truck broke down. We didn't have enough money. We got stranded in Mayberry, and we've taken part-time jobs.
That's right.
And we're seeing all the sights.
That's right. Our truck made a sound like those old-timey cartoons, like
it was like yeah.
The tires melted. So let's move on to episode 2. This is a little bit of an action-packed episode.
This episode had me on the edge of my seats.
Yeah, it's season 1, episode 2, The Manhunt. This is the Netflix description. Andy and Barney are left out of the state police's manhunt. So the two spring into action and are caught off guard by the criminal. So the episode opens with Andy and Opie fishing in a fucking terrible boat. It evidently has a hole in it.
Well, that's a hole that's leaked for years. They just keep repatching it. He
is the sheriff. Why doesn't he have a better boat? Why doesn't he have a boat that perhaps a sheriff might use if there's so much
exactly.
fucking water in Mayberry. I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of water involved because I remember several things involving water,
All the time.
Yeah, but yeah, Barney arrives. Evidently, he knows that this is where Andy's at. They don't have cell phones. I mean, he's just out in the middle of a boat by himself. But
I imagine Barney just driving for miles, looking out at the lake.
But he comes to tell Andy that a dangerous criminal has escaped from prison, and they're going to take part in a roadblock. The state police are coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so they go to the police station. Andy sends Opie home. Barney gets out and just starts announcing what's going on to everybody.
Yeah, he does.
Which I talk about that a little. I'll talk about that a little bit later. How with something Andy does, but Barney's concerned that if they let Otis out of his cell, because Otis is in there for being just a drunk.
May I say this is where we're introduced to my favorite character.
Oh yeah,
of the Andy Griffith Show, drunk Otis. He's in there just randomly in his own little fucking cage.
Well, it's the drunk
doing
tank,
his own
man.
shit. Yeah, I know.
And
Otis always has. I don't know if you know this, and the more we get into this, you'll see. But Otis always has a really amazing reason why he has to go. And this time it was choir practice.
Yeah. The thing I'm wondering is Mayberry in a dry county, or because it seems like they don't want alcohol at all.
I think that's probably just a reflection on that time period in those towns.
Right, because
he said want it, but
when he lets Otis out, he says, "Otis, now don't drink at all," or something.
Yeah.
Like that. But yeah, so they get there and they let Otis out. They don't. Barney doesn't want the state police to think they're like a 2-bit organization or some shit like that.
Right.
But Barney can't find his bullet, so and then Andy just tells him, hey, puts a whole box on the desk and tells him to fill his gun up because they might need to do some shooting, which was strange to me because I always assumed that he only had the one bullet, and I never remembered him giving him like access to a whole bunch. But we find out later that he doesn't really.
Yeah.
The state police show up like a bunch of fucking asshats. I mean, if they don't want people to know that there's some crazy shit going on around this town, why are they blazing in with sirens on and like looking like the president of the United States is behind them?
Yeah, it's like guarded by 2 motorcycle-cade cops. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, and then they walk in like a bunch of dickheads and just kind of take over. And the state police pull out these fancy maps. And evidently plans. They have these plans for using tear gas and Tommy guns to catch this criminal. Do police have they ever used Tommy guns?
Yeah, they did actually. Actually, a little known fact I know because I watch a lot of mafia stuff back in the like 50s and 40s and documentaries. Right. The Tommy guns were actually developed for the police department.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, but then once they realized how powerful they were, they decided to discontinue it and go back to the regular guns. They didn't really need them. Okay.
Yeah.
They were actually initially they were designed to be military weapons, but the war ended, so they were trying to do it with the police force. Well, then gangsters got a hold of them by hijacking trucks and warehouses, and it became an epidemic. Yeah.
This is the point where one of my favorite. I think I only have one favorite quote from this episode. This is my favorite quote. They pull out this map, and it's and Andy goes, "Well, that's like that looks just like the one we usually use." But then he pulls out these little magnets. Yeah, and sticks them on there. And then Andy, I got the whole quote here because I thought it was so fucking great. This is like some genius writing for like a hillbilly character kind of. I thought. He says, "Well now, that's a dandy little item there. Look at that little button, just sticks there and don't fall off. We're still using pens. There ain't too many of them left either. The women's club, they put on a Halloween play and they use this for their dressing room. They done near used every pen we had hemming up costumes." Like that. Somebody wrote that.
Yeah, they did. And then they stood back and went, genius.
I was like, yeah, like he could have cut that in half and saved some time, but yeah,
And then that's when the state police knew that they were dealing with the dumbest bumblefucks on the planet.
right. Well, this is like was embarrassing feeling to me because then Opie and Aunt B show up, and like embarrass the fuck. Like Andy already has to deal with Barney's nonsense, and himself being an idiot. And then his son and his aunt come home to tell him, like, they're very aggressively requesting that Andy comes home for some sort of stupid roast or some shit that she has. That roast is going to be fine, lady. You understand me?
She was like, you come home and eat this roast right now. I prepared it for you, or it'll be dry later. And we know how you are with dry roasts. And she looks around. There's like 20 cops. That there's literally a situation going on.
Yeah.
And the world must stop for her and her goddamn roast. Yeah.
Well, this is probably why the state police then leave Andy and Barney to deal with like town affairs while they go set up the roadblocks. And after they leave, Barney accidentally fires his gun off. He fires it off in its holster. And then Andy takes all his bullets away. Which was perfect to end that scene. But then the next scene opens up with Andy and Barney sitting in the car listening to the radio. And all the townsfolk are sitting around and they're confused by why Andy isn't doing anything. Which you would be. But you would lose some faith in your local police force anyways. And then guess who's upset again? Old Opie. He's basically whining about how his dumbass friends don't think his dad's a badass anymore. And he wants to tell them that the state police are saving Andy for the quote-unquote big showdown. This is where he goes into a fatherly discussion about how police business needs to remain confidential, which is fucking pointless because what did he do? Because the whole town knows what's going on. The state police rolled into town like a fucking parade of dildos, and Barney has probably been like all over town just telling everybody because he got out of the car and just started fucking telling the people at the barber shop, you know. Once again, this whole thing is predicated on a lie that Andy told to Opie about how they were saving him for the big showdown. So yeah. I mean, ultimately, Andy is who he is. He's going to lie to his son, and that's all I have to say about that. You can't blame him for it, though. The kid's an idiot. Andy gives Barney back his bullets. They decide they're going to go out and do something, so he has Barney stopping traffic, and basically, evidently Barney took, his roadblock duties as molest everybody in town, even because
even your own mother.
Because they had a picture of the guy. I don't know if they saw. Did they see the guy? Did the police let them see the picture? Because they didn't give them
Barney,
one.
Well, but Barney looked back. Remember, he was looking at one, and he said something about it. He's like, oh yeah, and the guy pulls the picture away. But yeah, they got a good look at him.
But he molests his own mother. Yeah.
Yeah. Can't be too careful, Ma. Let me give you that sweet ass. I was like, God, Bart, what the fuck?
But he stops to take a rest, and he's sitting on this stump, and then the guy pops out of the bushes and fucking ties him up. Takes his gun.
It was the convict. How? How did we know, Frank?
How did we know he's the convict?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure you're gonna tell me.
Rope belt.
Oh, rope belt. The old rope belt. I'm bringing that back, man.
He had stole some pants, you can tell, and he used a rope belt.
But he fucking takes Barney's gun.
He beats the shit out of Barney.
Andy comes and saves him. They report the situation to the state police. The state police do not want their help at all. They don't want any of their ideas. But Andy has a new one. He thinks this here is some sketchy writing. as far as I'm concerned, because his plan is that this fugitive is not going to be able to help himself, but to stop at Emma Brand's house, who evidently makes daily pies. He's not going to be able to resist that smell, and he's going to go get some of Emma Brand's
pies. Folks, these are the kind of pies that Disney cartoons were made about, you know? Yeah. She bakes them and sets them on a windowsill for any fucking haphazard people to come and eat
it. and then, like, the scent just lifts him up and carries him right over to her house. But, of course, that is the situation. Of course it is.
Oh, yeah.
But Andy figures it out because Emma Brand usually is evidently a loudmouth, and she didn't want to talk very much. So they go back and loudly announce the information of where Andy's leaky ass boat is beside the lake, and of course this also works.
Because he directed him exactly how to do it, Frank. He's like, somebody can just take that boat and just swim right across the river with it.
Do you think that, like, modern day police would imply that? Wouldn't they just bust the door down? Because
I would have grabbed that old lady by her shirt and pulled her right out of the house, and then just pulled my gun at the same time. You know,
right?
That guy wasn't going to kill anybody.
And like, the guy was right behind the door. All he would have to do is kick the door, and the guy would have been, you know. But also, they left this old lady with this guy who could potentially, he's been locked up. He might fuck the shit out of her and kill her, throw her in a ditch. What are you doing, Andy Taylor? He goes to...
No, Frank, this is Mayberry, okay? This isn't Law and Order, all right? That shit doesn't happen in Mayberry.
Mayberry SVU. Bow, bow.
Bow, bow.
They'd have to put the whistle in there. But... but Andy diverts a homicide because the police are just going to shoot this guy. And then makes the police slowly figure out that the boat has a hole in it.
He doesn't tell him. He just tells him, like, I imagine he'll be swimming back here in about a minute.
Yeah, it was the most ridiculous thing ever. Like, why didn't that guy just go across the lake? I mean, you're already... if I was in a boat and it started to sink, that lake wasn't even that big. I would have fucking took my chances, because
I can't even swim, but I would have kept. If I could, I would have kept going.
But if you turn around and you see like all these police, you'd be like, nope, I'm going back. Because I mean, I guess they could have shot him, but I don't know. I would have taken my chances, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how that episode ends, and no fucking finger plucking banjo at the end of that one, though. I was disappointed by that. But
I wrote, my note here was, the ending is convict gets hillbilly tricked.
Yeah, I actually wrote down at one point that Andy came up with a huckleberry solution.
Nice.
Which is true. I'm sure we'll see lots of huckleberry solutions when we watch this. I'm not sure what the...
I keep thinking about this Mayberry SVU, like, you know, fucking Andy and
I wish I could do a Don Knotts impression, because
Don Knotts would.
Like, what would he say? He'd say,
Barney.
Well, hey, Ange, this woman's been shot, Ange. She's been raped.
And we found the soiled pantaloons over in this area over here next to the girdles.
God.
Why would this gentleman hang himself while touching its wiener?
Well, I don't rightly know why they might be touching her in her nether regions and tearing at her like a madman. I don't know. We're gonna have to work on accents.
Now tell old Uncle Barn when it touched you.
You fucking have all the characters have Goober come in, Gomer.
Yeah. Well, golly, fellas, I didn't touch her in another region. I don't even like them parts.
You'd have to have fucking. What's that one dude? What's his name? The dude that just pops up on SVU every once in a while. He's not on the show anymore. He's got huge ears. What's his name?
Fuck.
Old comedian,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
What's his
he's
name?
Richard Belzer.
Yeah, Richard Belzer just shows up every once in a
Yeah.
while. Maybe have a cameo by Ice Cube, or is it Ice T? Ice T. Have
Well,
Ice Cube and Ice T, both of them.
I see that being a problem in Mayberry.
Yeah. I,
I think I know who did it, Barn. It was that black guy. He's a cop. Sure he is.
I think you were being a little bit racist right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the first two episodes. I'm not sure what we're watching next. I didn't look ahead, but thanks to anyone who listened to this.
Yeah.
I hope you watched along and enjoyed every bit of it just as much as we did.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, a little bit of a change of pace from your Lord of the Rings weekend. How did that go? You watched
Holy
all of? Did you
schmoly.
get through all of it?
I only made it through the 3 Hobbit movies and the first Lord of the Rings film. And then I had to take a Middle Earth break because I was going to. By the end of the first Lord of the Rings film, I'm just like, throw it in the fucking mountain already.
You know what? You know what always pisses me off about that is they could have rode that fucking eagle all the way to the goddamn mountain. Threw it right in Mordor.
I read something once, like somebody was saying that there was a reason why. I can't remember what it was, but it was something lame that somebody came up with to suggest why. That basically the animals would help, but they wouldn't change. They wouldn't like change the path of somebody's situation. They would help you, but they wouldn't. They wouldn't like They wouldn't interfere in your destiny, kind of thing.
Yeah, I've tried that before. I've tried to sit down and be like, I'm gonna watch all 3 of these Lord of the Rings movies, and it doesn't work. I don't know how long the Hobbit movies are, but
They're 3.5 hours apiece.
wow,
I
how did they stretch that fucking story that far? That doesn't seem to make
know.
sense, man. That seems
Well, they put the appendices in there, which I never read. So like I don't know if you've seen the Hobbit movies, but all the shit with Gandalf going off and having the private meetings and the figuring out that Sauron was back. That was all.
Okay.
That wasn't in the Hobbit book. That was all something that was
see.
written later.
Well, I didn't watch them because when I heard they were making it into 3 movies, I was like, what the fuck kind of rip-off scam is that? And I was like, I've read The Hobbit. It's so thin. It's really a thin book. And I was
It
like...
could have been one amazing movie. Could have been one, but instead they made 3 okay movies.
That's what they should have done. But they were trying to cash in, of course, and they did.
Yeah.
But thanks for listening to our Mayberry podcast, everybody. Andy Griffith is the shit, and we'll tickle your fancy with a little Lord of the Rings stuff or something else from time to time.
Well, can I say one more thing before we go?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Rewatching this, it made me think of any of our listeners that are over there in Hardin County, but it made me really think of McGuffey. I really miss McGuffey sometimes. I just wanted to give a shout out to McGuffey, Ohio. At first I saw Mayberry on TV and said, there could never be a place like that. And then I one time visited my grandparents in McGuffey, and my whole world was changed. So I just want to say that.
Yep. It is pretty similar. I think that Mayberry may have a few more things going on than McGuffey, though.
Well, yeah. They don't have a police station or police force or library, or they have a general store that's also a restaurant and pool hall.
Yeah, that's right.
We used to have a gas station, but somebody bought it and they didn't make it into a gas station anymore. I guess it just sits there empty.
That's always a weird decision. I'm just going to buy that building and just let it sit, you know?
Weird thing about that town, no library, 2 churches. Weird.
Wow. You wouldn't think they'd need 2, especially when there's one right. Are you counting Alger?
No. There's a church that's called the Free Will Baptist I used to go to. Then there's another church on one of the back roads that somebody was telling me about.
There's churches all over. We are thick with churches around here.
It was like for biker gangs or some shit. I'm not kidding. It's a real church.
Yeah. There's too many. But that's for a different podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Watch Andy Griffith on Netflix. And join us next time.
Maybe one day we'll get out of here.
Maybe one day we'll get out of here, this fucking town. Yeah.
Stranded.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, good night, folks.